I'll make you the host again. And can you put the little paragraph into the chat box?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just let me know when you want me to start, and I'll.
Okay, will do, Amanda.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just.
I'll make you the host again. And can you put the little paragraph into the chat box?
Yeah, that's done. And so when I'm, just because I'm moderating, there'll be somebody else who would have been host. So Amanda will already be, or whoever is doing it will already be introduced to everybody, or do they introduce themselves? And
I think I'll probably introduce myself, right? Is that cool? Are we happy with that?
is Caroline?
Yep. Pass over to Amanda just now, and that's us. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to turn my camera.
So hi everybody, welcome to this lunchtime treat of a taste a haiku session. Are you ready for a treat? Which is one of my all-time favourite workshops that I've run for many years now, and I enjoy it myself too every time. So welcome. This is going to be part of the very wonderful Stay at Home Literary Festival 2021, which is now in its second year. And I just thought before we get started, it would be good to just settle ourselves, center ourselves in the space so that we start to get in the mood and just quiet our thoughts really, so that whatever we were doing before this session, we just kind of put that away. And whatever we were thinking about, try and put that in another place. So if you can just get yourselves comfy, so I'll let you sort of snuggle in to wherever you are, get yourself comfy. And this is always such a funny one, but I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. And it seems such a simple thing to do, doesn't it? But actually, sometimes it's, unless we're going to sleep or other things where we've deliberately thought about doing it, it can be quite hard. But just close your eyes, quiet your mind, get comfy. And I want you to really think about images of leaves and trees. Let them fill your thoughts. And for the next 2 minutes, just take an imaginary walk in your head through this scene that you're creating, and let yourself pause at different points along the trail, soak up the atmosphere, take a mental photograph, stop and pick something up, touch things, but just create a scene for yourself that's all about leaves and trees. So we're just going to do that for just 2 minutes, and then I'll ask you to open your eyes. So as you're slowly thinking about where you are, just start to open your eyes and bring yourself back into the room or wherever you are. You might even be outside. And just have your head filled with the images that you've started to collect and create. And hopefully you've sort of moved from the place that you were before and you've come into a slightly different place. So we're getting in the mood to start the workshop. So welcome. I think we'll just get stuck into it. So we've got quite a lot to get through. So I hope you've all got something to write with. That might be something digital, it might be a piece of paper, but whatever you have, just make sure those things are in front of you now when you're ready to start responding to some of the questions I'm going to put to you. So you'll see in front of you that I've got a few pictures of trees and leaves, a bit of a mood board. So this was my kind of mental place that I went to earlier, and I sort of collected things, and these are things that places that I immediately go to when I think about trees and leaves and particular seasons. So I'm going to go now to the very first question. So I'm going to fire lots of questions at you for the next probably about half an hour, and I want you to not worry about anything that you're writing down, don't worry about your spelling, just get it all down and create a bit of a mood board for your ideas and your words, but respond to each of the questions, which you can see in front of you, but also just take enough time. So we'll take a bit of time with each one. But the first question that frames the whole workshop is, are you a leaf or a tree? So think about what sort of tree or leaf you are and start to describe your shape, your colour, your size. And you might even know what sort of species you are. I mean, you might have some very specific idea, but if you don't worry about it. You might also find it quite helpful at this stage to maybe even do a bit of a doodle or a sketch. So we're going to just take a bit of time to settle with that first question and set the scene. And it's the most important question, really, for the whole workshop, to make that definitive decision at the start. Are you a leaf or a tree? So we'll do that first, and I'll give you a minute or two to really sort of mull that over. And I mean, you might decide you're a particular kind of leaf and then change your mind, and that's all good. And the same with being a tree. So just think about that for now. I'm going to do it too. So I'm hosting, but I'm also participating. It's always different every time I do it because these questions kind of tap into the mood that you might be in at the time. Okay, so we'll have a chance to go back to some of these questions at the end, but to get us further into the mood, the next question is, where do you live? So where do you see yourself being as a tree or a leaf? Are you in a garden? Are you in an indoor place, a park, a wild place, forest, a mountain, a cliff? So start to describe that environment in detail, so really bring it to life. Try and do it in the way that you were describing it to someone else who couldn't see, who was blind, so that you're really having to bring it to life and spell it out. So pick up on all the little details. And again, don't worry, it's all significant. So just get it all down, we'll gather it up. Okay, so again, we'll have a couple of minutes to just settle with that question before we move on to the next one, so this one is, where do you live? don't worry if you're adding other details as you go along that you don't think answer that particular question. Just get it all down on the paper. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question, which is, what can you see around you in your habitat? So you're starting to widen your viewpoint to that sort of periphery vision, and imagine what else you can see around you from either the perspective of a leaf or a tree. One thing I want to say at this point is, if anyone's joining kind of midway into the workshop, don't worry, because there'll be a recount at the end of all the different questions. The questions don't have to be, apart from the very first question, are you a leaf or a tree? They don't have to be answered in any specific order. So don't worry about that. We can track back at the end. There'll be time to just sort of look at all the notes before we actually get into doing something with that work in due course, which will be in a while. But yeah, what can you see around you in your habitat? Again, if it's helpful to you, you can use, do gather some sketches, or you might even have things near to hand that, you know, like photos and things. So put it all together in a mood board. Okay, so the next question. So now we're really starting to think about fixing your ideas into a particular time of year. It might even be a particular day or a particular moment, but describe the weather and maybe the season, and really sort of try to colour the scene of where you are as a tree and a leaf, so that it becomes even more vivid to us. So we'll think about that now. What time of year? Again, really bring it to life. I mean, for me, my time of year is late spring, early summer, so kind of where we are right now, and a sort of between time. So sort of dig into that and start to think about what the weather's like around you. You might even want to think about a particular type of time of day. So is it early morning? Is it lunchtime, evening, dusk? Think about setting those times. Okay, moving on, getting deeper and deeper. What other natural plants do you like as a tree or a leaf that are around you? Think about bringing in some more details. Kind of your friends, I guess, really, the things that you can see around you. Okay. Again, sometimes it's a good idea to close your eyes again and really picture that scene. It's good to remove yourself from the words, but sort of feel them and sense them, really take them in, and go with the story, go with the fantasy, the little holiday that we're on this afternoon. Okay, so moving on. Ooh, so we're starting to really engage the senses. So I want you to think about what can you smell? What are the smells around you? What's coming to mind as your tree or leaf? Are you in the woods? Is it something mossy? Is it sort of bonfirey? Are you in a garden? Is it cut grass? Think about what's coming. Or are you in an urban situation? Can you smell sort of traffic? And think about that. So that'll be the next question, and put those ideas down. Again, try and be as detailed as possible. And sometimes if you really want to bring it to life, think about putting in a metaphor here where what something smells like. So you can smell something, but you're not quite sure what it is, but if it smells like something that you once knew, it might be a smell from your childhood. It might be something associated with a sort of a family member or someone who's no longer with us. You can kind of take these thoughts into another place. Okay, so we'll think about that for the next couple of minutes. As we're going through these questions, you might find that you want to track back as we're building up, we're layering up a really specific image of a place and time. So you might want to just track back. Something else, I've just made another note of going back to what I can see around me, my habitat, because they all interconnect. Okay, so we're moving on from smell. So we're sticking with those senses now. So we're thinking about, how do you feel if someone touches you as a leaf or a tree? What are they going to feel physically, not emotionally, when they touch you? What's that sensation? Try and describe that to me as clearly as possible and see what it is. Again, if you're using words like rough or soft or dimpled, whatever it is, try and associate it with perhaps adding a metaphor. So rough as, whether it's rough as some kind of sandpaper or, sand on a beach or, a stone that's just been washed up. Try and go further with the idea that you're describing what that texture is, so that it, again, always try and bring it alive to someone who can't visualize it, or you're really trying to build that picture up with words. So you haven't got the luxury of having a photograph or a piece of film, but you're creating that for somebody in their mind when they then listen back to it. So think about the texture. It's a really important one. We'll do that for a little bit longer. Again, you might want to start checking back again, and also the texture might also inform other things like the habitat, the smell. It might add another layer in and just hook that in as we go along. Okay. So now we're moving into a more animated section of our moment that we're creating, and it's what happens to you. So here we're talking about adding in some form of drama. And when I say drama, I don't mean it doesn't have to be something, it could be something quite subtle. So whatever happens to you, even if it's when somebody says, well, nothing happened to me, we need to know what sort of nothing was that, because there'll be something going on. Was it that you wanted something to happen? So think about what happens to you as a tree or a leaf, so that it's not just describing now the static image of who and what you are, but what is the narrative potentially of your situation. So as a leaf, are you taken off a tree by the breeze? If you're a tree, are you growing? Are you not growing? Think about, is somebody doing something to you that you don't want them to do? Just think about what is happening. And it might also be that things are happening around you, but you're not involved. So just think about what that implied or possible drama. There might be several scenarios. So if you've got several, put them down, and we're going to edit this all down in a little bit. So the more the merrier, just get it all down and then we can revisit it. So I'm already going to have to get another piece of paper. So I'm just going to, I can go on the back of this. So that's good. I've got my ideas. So yeah, just think a bit longer about what happens to you. Okay. Ooh. So, do you have a secret as a leaf or a tree? And if so, write it down. This may be that you don't want to tell. So often when I've had, when I ask this question, it's quite a playful response. We sometimes have responses from people going, yeah, I've got a secret, but I'm not going to tell you. So that's fine. But you might actually have a deep secret that you want to put down as a confession here as a leaf or a tree. So what might that be? So think about that just for a little bit longer. Okay. And the next question is, what creatures do you like that visit you? So in your environment, just think about some of the other things around you. This might also, of course, include human creatures or animal creatures, or birds. So think about some of those details. Okay. So going on to thinking again about what do you worry about as a tree or a leaf? What are the things that are playing on your mind? So think about expressing those now. Think about that. Yeah, so what do you worry about? And then the next one is, if you could speak, what would you say, if anything? So what would you say as a tree, the type of tree that you are, or what would you say as a leaf, if you could say something? Again, this might be a selection of phrases, so don't worry, you don't have to fix on them right yet, but get them down. Okay, so moving on, the next question. What's your deepest desire as a tree or a leaf? So what's your deepest desire? What do you want? What do you need? What do you hope you can get? What's your deepest desire? So this is the very last question, and it's, how do you feel as a tree or a leaf? So I want you to try and think about your emotional senses here. So, you know, are you happy, thoughtful, sad, wistful, dreamy, etc.? But it might also be a combination of these things. And again, try and be quite specific with these feelings, and just put those down. And then we'll do that just for a minute before we move on to the next little thing. So I'll leave that question here, but for anyone who might have joined in between, or if we're just thinking we want to track back, the next slide will be a list of all the questions. So you can just sort of have a moment to look back and think, oh, actually I want to do a bit more on that question. But we'll do this just for the next couple of minutes, and then we'll start thinking about how to put them all together. So those are all the questions there. I think everyone can see those, can't they, on the screen? So what sort of tree or leaf are you? Where do you live? What can you see? What time of year? The weather? Natural plants around you? What can you smell? How do you feel if someone touches you? What happens to you? Do you have a secret? What creatures do you like that visit you? What do you worry about? If you could speak, what would you say, if anything? What's your deepest desire? And how do you feel? So that's the last question. So see how that sits with you. We'll do that just for a couple of minutes, and then we'll move on to the next bit. So I'm just going to shut up now, let you just mull over those questions and look through your notes. And I'm going to look back as well. Okay, so we've gathered all our details together and we've got a lot of words in front of us. We might even have some squiggles and drawings. And I want to start condensing them down now into some more clear, really clear thoughts, because what we're going to do is start to think about putting some of these ideas into a haiku. So a haiku is, at its basic level, it's a 3-line short poem. And a helpful guideline, but it's not essential, is that you can start to select what you've written and fit it into a 5-7-5 format. But you can have 3-5-3, you can maybe have a few extra syllables. So we're certainly not going to be strict about that, but it's helpful to have some kind of framework, and certainly the main framework is the 3 lines. And so what I'd like you to do first of all is look back at all your notes and maybe really start to circle some of your favorite bits. And it's quite helpful in the first instance to come up with maybe 3 words that are your favorite words. It doesn't matter whether they relate to each other or how they sit when you put them together, but come up with 3 words that you think, out of all the ones you've written about, that you really like. And just on a separate piece of paper, put those at the top as some kind of really just like little subheadings to, yeah, I really like those. I don't know why I like them. It might be just the way they sound, but it might be that they're starting to formulate some kind of idea. And then really for the next, now where are we up to? Gosh, time flies, doesn't it? Wow, it feels like, I can't believe it. But if we can put them together into a haiku, we might even get really into it and start to do a 2 or 3. And one thing that I think would be really interesting is to try and put together your first haiku where it's very much an I. There's an I voice. So whether it's I am a leaf or something like that that's within it, but it's definitely coming from you. And then if you've got time to just remove yourself a little bit and go into the third person. So there's no I within the haiku, but it's using all your ideas, but it's what you've observed. So it might be, so it's more like the small leaf or the oak tree, whatever it is, and you're looking at it from more of a distance and narrating that moment. But let's see where this goes. So we'll do this for the next, let's think. So we've got, we're 1:37. So if we could do this just for 10 minutes, it's a big ask, isn't it? But we've done all the hard work, really. We've gathered those ideas and put them together into a haiku. You can always, of course, do more afterwards and definitely use the hashtag stay at home, literally SAHLF 2021, and you can share the haiku afterwards. But what I would really like to do is be able to, for us maybe to share some of our haiku, or even just some of the ideas that you've come up with, or your 3 words. So if we could do that at 10:02, that would be great. So I'll set you up on this, be playful, experiment. Don't worry if it doesn't seem to make sense. Sometimes it's nice to think about that final line as a kind of shift where you've set up a scene and then you take us into, just slightly, it's almost like another thought, so that there's a bit of a juxtaposition, but that's not a rule either. You might want to pose it as a question, why am I a tree and should I be in this place? And take it as you wish. So we've got just over 10 minutes to do that, and then it would be lovely if we could have some sharing just in the final 10 minutes and some feedback, because I want to know what you think about this and whether you are a leaf or a tree and why and what you're feeling. So I'll set you on that path. I'm going to shut up, which is always a difficult thing because I'm such a chatterbox. And let's see what we come up with in sort of just over 11 minutes, and enjoy it on your journey. Look back, but start with those 3 favorite words. That would be really interesting. And you can always start to share them. I think we can share them. So if I stop sharing here, we can share them in there. That's great. We can share them in our chat box down below. So yeah, I'm going to just make a note down here. Do start Yeah. Do start sharing your 3 words and eventually your haiku. Yeah. But when we get to 10.2, if anybody wants to read their work out, that would be great, or discuss some of this, that would be lovely. So I'm going to leave you to it, and we've got 10 minutes, and I'll see you at 10.2. So we're coming to the last sort of 12 minutes of the session, and it would be really lovely if anyone's got any of their haiku or even just a few words that they would like to share. It would be really nice. It'd be lovely if you wanted to do that. If you wanted to speak it, you can type it in the, I can see there's already some lovely ones. So we've got Gita. Springtime in a tree's root cave, earthworm's delight. That's gorgeous, Gita. Really, really lovely. And Craig, some really lovely words. Unfurling, understanding, apprehensive. So I think the really interesting thing sometimes with the three words is it can often tap into your emotional space right now. So you as you not as a leaf or a tree, but it's a bit like a cipher for how you're feeling today. So that sense of unfurling, understanding, and apprehensive. I mean, that taps into my feelings maybe about COVID. Actually, I don't know if that's how Craig felt, or is that how you're feeling, maybe, Craig? So, oh, we've got some lovely ones. So just a few leaves left. The tree is left a widow in a few minutes. Oh, that's great, Andy. So would anybody like to, I don't know if this is possible, I'll have to ask my hosts and wonderful helpers. Is it possible for people to physically appear on the screen and share their haiku if they would like to? We've got a lovely one from Donna as well. My wizened branches, a canopy on the road, I cannot leave by.
I think that they can speak but not appear on the screen as far as I can see.
Okay.
So if you want to...
Thanks, Samantha. That's good. How would they do that? Do they press the little hand signal, or?
Yeah, if they want to raise their hand, or if they want to write that in the chat box, and then I can unmute that. I think I'm able to unmute them. We can test it with one.
Okay. Should we have a go? So, would anybody like to? So I don't think we can see you, which is really sad. But I think there's too many anyway. So to see everybody all at once, but it would be lovely to hear someone speaking other than me. So if somebody's got a haiku, and I can see there's some beautiful haiku, it would be lovely to hear your voice. So I think we do that by, if somebody raises a hand, and then Samantha can unmute you and we can hear some of the haiku. It's often really nice to hear someone's voice. It adds another level to your work when you hear it expressed. And likewise, when somebody else reads your work, you get another sort of spin on what you've done. So that would be good. If somebody would like to read out their haiku, let me know and we can hear you. Sorry we can't see you.
I think I can actually promote someone to be a panelist if they do want to. I can. Oh, we've got a hand raised. I think it's Gita. I'm going to let.
Hi, Gita.
So,
Hi.
great.
Hi, Gita.
Hi. So shall I read out my haiku?
Yes, please. That'd be lovely.
Okay. Springtime in a tree's root cave, earthworm's delight.
Oh, that's beautiful. Can you read it again as well, so we can really luxuriate in it, Gita? It's
Thank
lovely.
you. Springtime in a tree's root cave, earthworm's delight.
Oh,
So thank you.
yeah, it's really, really nice. Really, really nice. So do you think you'd be able to write another one as well from all the notes that you shared?
Yeah, I started another one. I can read it for you. I'm not sure it's finished.
Yeah. Even if it's part finished or half finished,
Yeah.
you can hear it.
So, yeah, chestnut tree in the swirl of wind, autumn's dance.
Very, very beautiful, and really an essence of haiku there, where with haiku we're always trying to sort of tap into a moment, and it's very sensory, and it's really lovely just to hear you read it, because you get that instant picture. I was transported to that chestnut tree. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was lovely. Really, really lovely. And then if there's anyone else who would like to read them out, it is really nice to hear them read out, and amazing things that people have come up with in such a short space of time. I think, you know, the secret I feel is always the sort of gathering, and also even before you do the gathering, the way we maybe try to sort of settle our minds, because we're all so crazy and busy, and it's quite nice just to quiet ourselves and really imaginative, you know, luxuriate in our imagination. Life's so crazy, so it's really nice to go to a place where you can just take a holiday in your mind, isn't it? So if there's anybody else who would like to
2 more. Would you know, I'm going to pop them on now. I'm going to pop Craig on now, so you can unmute yourself, Craig.
Hey Craig.
Okay, I'm unmuted.
Hey Craig.
Hello.
It's lovely to, well, I can't see you, but I can hear you. So Craig's a really old friend of mine, and I haven't seen him for ages, as we all are so sort of trapped away from our loved ones in COVID. Looking forward to seeing you and Keith soon. So let's hear your lovely haiku, Craig.
I've got 2, but
Okay.
I've decided to reverse the order that I wrote them in. So they actually make more sense this way.
Okay.
So flower clusters, fronds, unfolding in dark forest, floating butterflies.
Wow. Gorgeous.
And then brushed by passing hands, distant echoes of past walks, the knowledge of time.
Oh, so the second one is super philosophical.
Yeah, that's why I thought it worked better in reverse than the way I actually wrote it.
It's really cool. So you sort of bring people in with the first one, and it's quite sort of, ooh, okay, we've got the butterflies, and then it's like, ooh, let's go deeper into the philosophy. It's really, I love the brushing. I love that. I was just like, I was right there in that sort of quite dark wood where you're just sort of brushing things, and they're sort of landing on you. I always love it when you sort of get little burrs on when you come home from a walk, and you think, oh yeah, no, that's where I was, isn't it? And now I've got them, you know, I always get them in my hair because I have, if I let my hair down, you'd see I have totally crazy hair. That's really lovely, Craig. Thank you. See you soon.
Excellent. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. Is there anybody else? It would be really lovely as well.
One more that's got their hand up, and someone's written one in the duo, FYI.
Lovely.
I'll let Rufus. You can unmute yourself now.
Hey, Rufus.
Hello, hi.
Hi.
Hi. So I have 2, but I think there's going to be lots more. So you are a marker of the journey I've been on. Spring always returns.
Ooh.
You are a marker. Hell don't stay hot forever, or hell can't stay hot forever. Candy floss promise.
Ooh, these are great. I love the repetition of "you are a marker." It's such a strong line. So when you had that line, did you feel that? Did you think, yeah, this is a good one?
Yeah, well, when I was thinking about the trees, there was a tree I revisited last week, and the tree was when I first met the tree, it was winter 2019, and it was outside a building where I had to go for a freedom program with Women's Aid. And then to see the tree now in full spring, all pink and purposeful and full of promise and beautiful, it was such an emotional, it was a real marker. Yes, for sure.
Oh gosh, I feel like that story is it's like it's a whole collection of haiku, right? It's just a wonderful sense of this tree being a marker in your life, and then that and it's so hopeful.
Yes.
It's such a hopeful and optimistic image, isn't it, of it being, I mean, being in blossom and bloom, you know, and sort of when things keep growing, it just feels, I don't know, nature's been such an important thing anyway during COVID, but even more so, I think we're really sort of grateful. I feel deeply grateful. I live quite rurally, and every day I'm just feeling blessed that I'm
Yes.
nurtured by the moss and the stone and the sea and the wind that's around me. I love it. And of course, where I live, all the trees are kind of bent like this. in a kind of crazy wild way here in Cornwall. But oh, that was really beautiful, Rufus. Love that. Have we got any others?
I think we're going to have to bring it to a close now, unfortunately.
See this afternoon.
I know this. Just
I've got one more screen to share. So how do I do that? I have to go back, don't I, to
we've only got 2
share
minutes
my screen. So I'll literally go back to the screen, hopefully. And don't know how I do this. I'm just so bad at techie stuff. Your screen sharing, stop share. Share screen, and then hopefully. No, I can't do it. Anyway, I had some information. Oh yeah, here we are. So I can. So I've just got a screen to say thank you so much for this afternoon. And if you want to get more into haiku, I run a haiku group on Facebook, the Daily Haiku, and I'm doing a longer 4-hour haiku workshop with the link there. And we're on Twitter. And obviously, anything that you've written today, pop it up on the Stay at Home Literature Festival 2021. We want to see your haiku, and all the ones who weren't able to share it in the space and time we had. Sorry we didn't get around to you, but would have liked to have met you properly, of course, but this has been great. And have a lovely afternoon. Thank you for coming. It's lovely to meet you.
Great. Is it okay to close there, Amanda? Is that all right?
Yeah, no, it's okay to close. Thanks for coming, and do come and visit us at the Daily Haiku. We're a lovely Facebook group, and we've got 6,000 members worldwide, and it's just a great place for a bit of everyday creativity. So see you soon.
Thank you. That's great. I'm just going to have to work out how to end this now. I think. Just end.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great now. I think